I was mainly using ChatGPT to sort of edit my writing, edit
Right.
my memos, edit my emails. I was starting to understand a little bit more about the systems and the prompts. So really it was like kind of just dabbling around like a kid in the sandbox.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so ChatGPT was my main go-to thing, and it really was a tool that I used along with Grammarly
Right.
to just spice up my emails and my writing and different things.
Right. Well, and you had talked about kind of an interesting anecdote in here about experimenting with AI, but not really integrating it
Right.
into like what you were doing, right? You like you said, you were using it for like Grammarly, you're using it to edit, for ChatGPT. Basically,
Mhm,
people use it now like a search engine, basically.
mhm.
But you were kind of like using it to help with stuff for your golf and your golf
Exactly.
swing, using it to kind of do things still very manually
Mhm.
but sort of integrating it here and there to double check things or whatever, but you had a example in here about a B2B client that spent weeks in May, with the 290 universities. So talk a little bit about that because that's really your background with
Right,
education, right?
right,
Is you
right.
you kinda had this client and you were like, "Man, I wish there was, like, an easier way," and then you kind of figured out, like, there's a huge bottleneck here.
Yeah, so that came as a result of clearly the work that I did with you and Ryan and the AI for Teams team. I understood that AI could do things. It could create you could create agents, you could do systems, you could do automations. But it
Right,
wasn't until I started working with you guys that kind of like had the epiphany, like, oh, wow, wait a minute. Like I could have a whole crew of one that multiplies across several systems based on what you need. So what I really learned in that process is that it's not really the tool, it's understanding what system is needed, understanding what does this particular client need. And as a result, that client, I was able to assist them for their pain point. It was a coaching session really that we were having that I was just coaching and she was stressed out, she was overwhelmed. And I said, "What's going on?" I kept pushing and she said, "Well, ideally, I wish I could hire 10 people, but I can't afford to hire 10 people." I said, "Well, what do you need to hire 10 people for?" And she
right,
said, "Well, I got this thing." I said, "Well, do you know that 98% of that can be done through an AI agent? There's something that
right.
we," and she was like, "Really?" So I sent a proposal and off and running we are with that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's like having your own little team of employees, right?
Exactly.
You still have to
Ex
train them and you still have to, like,
exactly.
give them resources, but it's kind of the same concept, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she was never gonna be able people will say, "Well, AI takes away jobs." She was never gonna be able to hire 10 people to do these jobs.
No, I
Anyway.
mean, you can't afford to, right? And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
sort of the issue. They keep us
Exactly.
all unable to, right? To keep us
Exactly.
to not grow. So that aha moment in this and the shift, like you said, it wasn't really about realizing the tools exist and there are tools. It's about
Right,
the thinking differently, right? And so
right.
that aha moment you're talking about of the click of like, how do I design a system around how I need to think and serve this person is something you really said that stuck out to me. How do I design a system around how I think and serve?
Mhm.
Is that your big was that your aha moment? Because that was similar to mine.
Yeah, yeah, it was like, how do I meet the needs of this client?
Yes.
What do they need? And then how can I accelerate and assist them and to reduce their stress, their overwhelm, and different things like that. So my aha moment was, which directly came as a result of being, as when there would be a AI for Teams session online, I would just jump in, even it had nothing to do with me.
Right.
Trucks, like
Yeah. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and I was
literally
just
came to everything, which is
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was just absorbing. I was like a sponge. And so
Yeah.
I think that if people aren't if you're willing to be a sponge, learning AI can be such a fun, integrative thing. And actually, again, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I would think that there's some neuro benefits of going through the process. So the process that I had to go through to meet the needs of the clients of learning make.com, learning different things that I needed to do to put this together for her.
Right.
It was like a big giant puzzle. And so
Yeah.
instead of opening up a box of a 1,000-piece puzzle, I opened a 1,000-piece systems to figure out which was gonna work for her.
Right. Yeah, and that's sort of the beauty of it, right? Is if you're into puzzles, this is like
Right,
the perfect thing for you
uh,
because if you're designing with empathy, which is what I
right,
like to constantly go back to, designing for
right,
empathy,
right,
then we are constantly trying to solve problems,
right,
right?
exactly,
And do it not only efficiently, but effectively,
exactly.
right?
Right. Yeah,
Those are the 2 keys. Everyone wants it fast. Great.
yeah,
I don't
right,
really care if it's fast. Does it work?
exactly. And the here's the thing was it there's people talk about it's taking away the human element. No, it's actually for me, it's added it because
Yes.
like I'd be in these sessions and I just be a sponge absorbing. So one time I was in one session and Ryan mentioned Airtable. I go,
Yeah.
Airtable, never heard of it before.
Right.
So as soon as I got off the session, I looked it up. I thought, this is fascinating. This is interesting, which is
Yeah.
exactly what I'm utilizing. I'm using Airtable to make.com and some other APIs to put
Yeah.
this project together for this client. So, but again, it's so the other element of it that's an aha for me is that it increased my attention span.
Yeah.
Right. So that I had to
Yeah.
really pay attention to what was being said and just be a sponge and out there just listening.
Right. Right. Yeah. And critically think too, right?
Yeah,
Not just
exactly.
take it at face value.
Yeah,
And think that's what's great about AI is like it's great if we teach it, but we have to teach the human critical thinking
right,
component to it too.
right.
Not
I
just
was
the
with
here, plug it in kids and away we go. Doesn't work that way.
exactly. I was with a group the other night for Gail's birthday, but there was a woman there who owns a major company in the whole area of testing sperm.
Yeah.
Um, and we were talking about, and she said, "You're the perfect person to do AI for companies because you have such a human quality to you that that's going to be that's going to be integrated into what you're doing." I said, "Exactly."
Yep. You have to. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I think you're connecting that beautifully into like the after, right? And what happens after. You talked in your after about your day-to-day feels more intentional and connected and building repeatable systems, not one-off solutions. This
Mhm.
is very interesting because we experienced this as well, right? Early on. You kind of went through this with us a little bit
Yeah.
where it's difficult to design it's not difficult to design, that's not the right word. It's, difficult to scale something if you're doing custom projects for someone all the time.
Mhm.
It's when you wanna get into these repeatable systems that is like you get people to understand it's less about the tools and more about
Mhm.
the intention,
Exactly.
right? And so talk a little bit about that because I think that is really where we get people get tripped up because again, they want that fast solution, but if you're
Mhm.
intentional about things, sometimes that fast solution isn't necessarily the right thing, and with AI, I'm of the belief that it moves fast enough on its own.
Mhm.
So as long as we can get to what the right answer is, or at least the most viable answer, like, we're gonna be able to do it pretty quickly because I have the
Mhm.
skill to build it quickly.
Right.
But if we don't do the communication piece up front and the discovery piece up front and just try to rush like a bull, that
Right.
bull's gonna tear that china shop apart
Right.
because it's delicate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. You're absolutely 1,000% on point. And I'm going to do that with this client that I'm doing this automation for. I meet with her once or twice a week, and so I get to like it's it's like at one point I'm going F1 speed,
Yeah.
and then I come
Yep.
to a complete stop and go, "Whoa, okay, now I need to walk," because there's certain things that's showing up that's not really calibrating, and if you
Right.
don't slow down and observe, and so a perfect example with this particular client, I got back the information that I asked it for, but it wasn't specific enough to the problem. It was
Right.
and if I didn't observe that, if I didn't have this one-on-one sessions with her where we're
Right.
going through the work, I would have missed it. I would have missed it because I was going at warp speed, right?
Right.
But I would have missed it. And I said, wait a minute, this I keep clicking on here, and for each school, it's showing me the same information. And then I realized what it did was it basically extracted the information, but applied it across the spectrum. So having to
Gotcha.
slow down to pick that up, now I have to correct it.
Yes.
So the great thing about AI is that yes, from a system standpoint, from a tool standpoint, it's extremely efficient. It's extremely a worthwhile process. But just as all the models say, check out. It says check our work. You know, it
Yeah.
requires you to check your work. So
Yeah.
I love that part about it because that's the human part of it, and that's the interactive part of it, and that's the communication part of it, and the observance. So there's observation. What are you noticing? What are you seeing? What is being scaled? What is repeatable? What isn't repeatable? You know, those sort of
Right.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if
100%.
that answers your question, but
No, it does.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, as we kinda close out, because 'cause I'm gonna ask you the last piece would be your advice, right? For somebody that's getting into AI, from your perspective, what
Mhm.
would be your greatest advice?
My advice would be don't wait to get to be ready. Just like jump in. Even if you don't have any clue on how you would use it, what would you do with it? It's fun. It's where we are now. And there's some pros and cons. There's always been pros and cons.
Of
I've been
course.
around for
Yeah.
over 7 decades. So I've seen everything. I've seen everything from the rotary phone to now, the iPhone, the Galaxy, and everything else.
Right.
And the fun thing about it is in each of those phases, there was a increase of knowledge. There was a increase of curiosity. So my advice is be curious, be a sponge, have fun, don't get overwhelmed by it, slow down to speed up.
Yeah.
So jumping into this course is going to allow you to slow down enough. And when you come out of it, you'll be able to go at warp speed
Yeah.
and you'll have some knowledge, even if you just use it for you as a hobby. If you use it, whatever reason you use it for, I didn't know that when I jumped into this, that I was going to create a business from it. Right? I'm a coach. I'm an
Right.
executive coach. And so I was just interested and curious. And then I created a business. And then I had someone tell me the other day, this person that I was at this party with, she says, you just hit a home run.
Yeah.
Because you're the perfect person to do this. Your wisdom, your experience, your knowledge. So you don't know, don't have, don't jump into it with an outcome in mind. Because I didn't have an outcome. I just like, no,
Right.
I'm curious. How does
No
this work?
expectation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's the best way to, I think, approach anything we're learning new,
right,
right? We
right,
have to drop the ego
right.
and say, "I don't know
Exactly.
anything about
Yeah,
this." Like, I'm gonna
uh,
go in, ask questions, be
mhm,
just open, because
right.
like, I don't know anything else, so might as well, right?
And I'll tell you, I make this statement all the time, and I say, you couldn't make me 25 right now. I was
Hell no.
25 years old
I
in this
have a 20,
environment.
almost 2-year-old, and you couldn't pay me. I'd
Right,
rather have a root canal with no Novocaine
right,
than go
right,
do that.
right, right. So, but anyone, you can be very intentional. Like you can jump into this course and say, I want to create a business.
Yeah.
Great. I want to, people concerned about jobs and getting fired or getting laid off. If you can go into this space where we are now in 2026 and 2027, it will be even faster. But if you can take into that with your own sense of knowledge that you offer something that the company that maybe you're interviewing for does have no clue, and
Yeah.
you come in and says, "I can do this, I can do this, I can do that." So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you've been with us since about August, I think, of
mhm,
last year. So it's been almost a year since we've
mhm,
known you, and which is amazing. And you've given us a lot of insight into like what you would tell someone that's coming to work with him and things like
mhm,
that. What he's been working on to kind of help you understand how this could be beneficial in your coaching business, right? And how you can
mhm,
approach different clients with different
mhm,
solutions. I know him because I've known Ryan for a long, long time. There is a lot of things that people don't know about Ryan, one of which is that he hates being complimented. Like, if you try to
Mm,
give Ryan a compliment, he will, like, change the subject
mhm,
immediately, and I know I'm the same way, so I get it.
mhm.
What would you say is a version of Ryan that most people in your time with him in the last year, like, what's a version of him that people don't really see in his teaching and, like, the way that he interacts with his clients and with people that he's around? Like, what would be something that he's been right about in the industry that other people have gotten wrong, that he's just kind of like what would your experience of Ryan be throughout the year that you've been with us?
One, his passion, his generosity, and his curiosity are his key elements, and his you know, he has a very world view that he wants people to have an enjoyable life, right? He wants people to prosper. He wants
Yeah,
people to be able to he wants to give to you the tools in which you can then go out and kind of own your space, own your opportunities to create your own experience. So what people don't notice, or what people may not notice about Ryan, is that it's actually his life's work, right? And AI has provided him with this ability, and he moves at such a fast pace, and that so the ability to kind of if you can pick up 10% of what he's doing, you're gonna be good.
yeah,
You know? You don't
yeah,
have to pick up it all because you can't,
right.
and you don't need to. But if you pick up I feel like I've picked up about 8% of what Ryan has to offer, and I know there's more, and so but he's passionate, he's generous, and he's curious, and those
Yeah,
things are transferable in whatever you're doing.
I love that. Yeah, all very true about him. Yeah, definitely. Well, Jerome, I appreciate this so much, and you filling out the questions and then doing this and jumping on again. And I hope you guys have a beautiful trip tomorrow, and your son and daughter-in-law's wedding is beautiful. I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, it will
And
be.
yeah, and give my love to Gail and tell her I said hello.
But yeah,
And
the first
yeah, touch base with us when you're back. His book comes out tomorrow.
cool.
Uh, it's available for pre-order right now, but I'm gonna send you a copy anyways. So
Oh, thank you.
uh, yeah, so I'll get all of the information and stuff to get that to you guys. But yeah, we're super excited. I mean, it's like he turns 50 tomorrow too, if you can believe that.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
wow.
a lot happening. I'm in turning into my more early 40s on Saturday. So we have
Oh,
lots
okay.
of birthdays this week.
Well, it's interesting that all of you so Gail was the 7th, right?
Really?
Well, yeah, so you're all
We're all
Taurus.
Taurus.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? So my assistant or our assistant, I guess, Annie, that works in the Philippines, she's a Taurus.
Yeah.
Jeremy, who works with us, his wife is a Taurus. I'm a Taurus. Pablo, our chief technology officer, is a Taurus. Ryan's a Taurus. We're like all Taurus.
Right, yeah.
And then Jeremy's a Gemini on the cusp of Taurus. So, like, we're all like right in the same little birth month. It's very interesting. So, no wonder we all get along so well.
That's right. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
Virgo. So I'm a
Oh,
Virgo.
that makes perfect sense then. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like crazy. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like you all like all these Taurus energy around me.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's a good energy.
Yeah.
Stubborn, but we're
Oh
grounding
yeah.
usually.
Yeah. Yeah. You're headstrong for sure.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, I'll be in touch because I want to see how how we could possibly how I could pay you to kind of maybe assist me with places I get stuck,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Well, here's the deal. So we are going to be launching this book, but the goal is that we're going to have like a packaged kind of deal with this, from what I
Hmm.
understand. So it'll be geared toward more like HR and speaker folks again.
Hmm.
But this one will be more like tools for HR people. There will be like biweekly check-ins. The book will
Hmm.
come included. There will be like workshop items. And
Right.
don't quote me on this, but from what I understood, Ryan was going to package it into like a $200 bundle, and it was going to be like ongoing SHRM and HRCI credits and different
Hmm.
stuff like that involved because we're SHRM credit approved.
Oh,
So
great.
there was going to be this like bundle, and I'm going to try to get a bunch of our HR community involved in it because that's
Hmm.
really like we've got a bazillion HR people.
Right.
But something like that, you could come in on easily because like $200 and like we could just,
Mhm.
put you in there. Or yeah, for something like the masterminds or whatever, I don't know what we're doing, to be honest with you, because we have so
Mhm.
much crap on our plate right now. But I do
Right.
know that we have some stuff coming up that
Yeah.
we would be in touch with you about that
Yeah.
stuff for sure.
So yeah, because a lot of my needs are like just work, like just putting together the workflow, like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and so
yeah,
I'm working with Manus, I'm working with, Make.com,
right,
I'm working with all these different tools, trying to figure out where I'm going to use Claude and all of this.
right.
So uh,
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's definitely something. But yeah, hit us up when you get back and we'll
okay,
chat for sure.
all right,
So,
great,
all right, my dears, travel safely. Give my love to
thank you.
Gail, and we'll
All
talk
right,
soon.
okay,
All
bye.
right, thanks, Jerome. Bye.